Leo, you can talk. People talk over me all the time. It's perfect. Okay, in case my viewers haven't noticed, I'm with a very dear friend of mine, Leo Tonkin. He's down in Florida. So you're on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. Leo, I think we got it covered.
There you go.
And I went with my beach background because you're in California. I mean, you're in Florida on the beach.
Yeah, but I haven't been there in a little while.
Well, no one's going there. You know, in Minnesota, they had to shut down. It got up to 70 degrees, and all of a sudden, everybody wanted to go down to the lakes and bike and hike, and the governor had to say, no, get away from each other. You know. Well, for those who don't know, Leo is the founder of Salt Chamber. They're an amazing company. We're going to talk about that. He's also the founder of the Salt Therapy Association. I'm proud to have been asked to MC the last 2 years in a row. I hope you'll have me back one of these years. But Leo, so much relates. Well, you know that I'm a salt fanatic anyway. So I go to the place you guys built up in Minneapolis, not far from me. But when I'm here in California, I go to the big Venus de Fido down the block here for salt. And I find it ironic, Leo, like I told you, I'm going back 3-4 months now. I just wasn't feeling good. And I called down there and said, I got to come in and get a series of salts. And almost after the first salt treatment, metaphysical or not, I immediately started feeling better. And by the end of 6 treatments, and yes, I'm having the right kind of smoothies and I'm eating well and I stopped smoking cigars on the golf course and everything else. But I love salt. I mean, salt is very engaging and it's got to be a big part of what's going on right now with the virus. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, obviously, the coronavirus, this particular novel coronavirus, is respiratory related. So, you know, respiratory conditions really in our society is really the #1 leading cause of any kind of disease or wellness issues, from whether it's allergies or asthma, or bronchitis, sinusitis, the cold and flu, COPD. You know, we're so affected by our respiratory, yet there's a lot that's in the invisible that we don't see that causes a lot of this. And I think the coronavirus is bringing into light, you know, a lot about what does affect us in our respiratory condition. And, you know, salt therapy really got its roots over in Eastern Europe, and halotherapy, as it is evolved to now with the right precise ways of creating salt particles, has been studied, and there's research. A lot of more studies need to be done. And so a lot of people are wondering, you know, what's salt therapy doing to the coronavirus? And there's some new clinical studies being done. But to your point in general, salt therapy is known for the qualities of what it does for people that have respiratory conditions. So we've been working with some infectious disease doctors. Dr. Leish, who's a pulmonologist, as you know, has recently commented about the impact that salt therapy can have on dealing with general viruses and bacteria in the respiratory system to begin with. So, you know, it's ironic that salt therapy facilities all over the country are viewed as a non-essential business right now in some of the sheltered in states. And so there are some challenges, just like in the spa world, that a lot of the Souls standalone salt therapy facilities are facing. But just like every spa, there's a new what's next that we're all having to deal with. And I think salt therapy is going to be a lot stronger, because I think people's awareness about their respiratory health, their respiratory wellness is going to be on the forefront. And so 8 years ago when we started Salt Chamber, we kind of brought it to the spa and wellness community. We've done about 1,000 projects, and not more by now. And so we're seeing a lot of resurgence of people's new interest in really looking at how halotherapy can make a difference.
Okay. You said a couple of things I want to comment on right away. The first thing is, and I say this tongue in cheek, but I've said it to you before. When I go for my salt therapy sessions, it's the best 45 minutes of sleep that I get ever. I mean, Leo, it seems to knock me out, even if I'm not. I've gone in the morning too, right after I work out, eat breakfast, go get it, and I fall asleep anyway. So I love the relaxation factor. Secondly, I've gone when I don't have respiratory issues, but it still feels to me to be, can I say this, it helps me with that cleansing, healing feeling. You know what I'm describing, right?
Well, I mean, that is one of the qualities. I mean, when you look at the people that are really suffering from some of the coronaviruses are people with a lot of underlying issues that have had respiratory issues. As you and I are getting older, my friend, you know, we've had more exposure to the elements around us, whether it's pollution, it's our HVAC systems, it's the things that are in the air. There's just so much. And so you wonder, where do all these respiratory conditions come from? Why is it that the pharmaceutical companies make billions of dollars a year on asthma inhalers? So as a complementary and alternative modality, this is something that really helps build respiratory health. It also, salt is known to help build your immune system. So yeah, there's a big role that it can play. Obviously, there's certain things we can claim or not. Over in Europe, this is a medical treatment covered by health insurance there. A lot of studies, but now this really paves the way for a lot more.
We're going to talk about the Salt Therapy Association, the STA, in a minute, but I wanted to get, I'm sorry, I was looking over here on my other monitor because I wanted to give a quick shout out to Tara Giese and Jeremy. I can't remember his last name because that's the place you helped build called Wake Up Fit in Brown, Minnesota. And it's the one close to my house. And every time I've gone there, I'm preaching to her about I'm preaching to the owner about the gospels of salt. But that's why, to me, and the ability to not have to have a therapist be there with you for 45 minutes is huge. And I think, Leo, getting therapists back to work might not be as easy as it first sounds when we start picking up the ball again.
Yep. I mean, that is the challenge. You know, you have, what is next? There's a lot of people that are concerned, obviously, as a small business owner and what people can do or not do. A lot of facilities and places have been looking for this funding, whether it's in the CARES program, the payroll protection. People are waiting. There's funds supposedly being distributed, but it's hard to understand. And, we want to grow our businesses. And I think there's a lot of things people can be doing now, preparing and planning for what are the marketing assets people need to be doing? What are the communications that people need to be having? Salt therapy is an educational process. You have a lot of spas out there thinking it's still about the Himalayan salt on the walls and the decor and, some misconceptions. So this really helps to really focus on the efficacy side of what salt therapy is all about.
Again, another tongue-in-cheek for me because, I've been in a lot of facilities where people go, look, we have salt here, and they're pointing to a salt wall.
Right.
But they don't have an inhalation salt system.
Yeah, well, the halo generator, like our Salt Effects halo generators, that's really what it's about. Yeah. And that's what people are breathing in, right? That's, as dry salt, it's pulling out the toxins. Salt is known. I mean, there was some recent studies at the University of Alberta in Canada where they're lining masks with sodium chloride. This is about 3 years ago. The initial studies happened because when you think about the coronavirus, people talk about the droplets. That's what you're most concerned about. And so salt, super absorbent, guess what it does? It pulls the moisture out of the cell, and what's left of that cell suffocates, it drowns without having that water to live in. And so there's some preliminary studies about how salt in a mask is killing off the viruses, bacteria, and at least cutting their shelf life. So going into that salt room is going to become an educational process where some that you've gone to that are 45 minutes and have several chairs, social distancing may be a confidence thing to earn back and people being more conscious about that for sure. But there's a lot of facilities that have smaller rooms or private salt booths. And I think that's where a lot of the focus is going to be.
That was me nagging you on our last call about getting a salt booth with, what did I ask? Infrared. And I wanted an infrared salt booth, right? Okay. Let's take the last couple minutes if we can and talk about the STA. That's the Salt Therapy Association. My listeners, if you're not members, you should. I have to tell you, Leo, your team that deals with the Salt Therapy Association have done such an amazing job. And I can tell you this from, our Spa Industry Association, we attend and work with probably 50 trade shows a year. But when I've gone to the STA and I'm looking at 300-400 people in a room and no one is on their cell phones and people are taping and writing notes and paying attention, Leo, it's enlightening. It really is.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the industry has come a long way since from 8 years ago. There's other people that have been, getting into the space when we were the only ones that really were laying the groundwork for all of this. We have a lot of new concepts coming around. You got the industry that's growing. A lot of projects are moving forward in a lot of places. And you have a lot of people becoming aware right now. There are projects happening in assisted living facilities and building salt rooms. You've got concierge and residential communities being built with salt rooms. You've got renovations happening where they're converting underutilized rooms. And I think people in the spa world now, when they start to look at their space, what can we do? I think salt therapy is going to be top of mind in converting a room or putting a salt booth in or something along those lines.
I love it.
So you're going to see the industry continue to grow. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done in creating education awareness. And right now we're looking at some clinical studies. And there's a good unity amongst some of the people that you've met within the industry in terms of other suppliers and manufacturers and how the industry has been growing as its own. But a lot about the spa and wellness community is right there riding the same wave that we are right now. A lot of concern, but I think salt therapy really has a lot to be offering right now.
And Leo, it fits in perfectly with the larger thought process about what is a wellness facility. We know massage and aesthetics pays the bills, but it isn't enough to keep people today. You need to be adding all the other modalities so that people who are going to a spa, a wellness facility, are getting a well-rounded, an ability to round out their treatments with things like halo therapy as well. So I'm really pleased about that.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what I think we're seeing. I think there's a lot more that's happening in the residential and the luxury home market. You've got a lot of other facilities looking at, what are they going to do with their facilities? Obviously, financing is an issue for a lot of people and what they're going to be doing. But I think, this too shall pass is what some of us have been saying. I do think that we have to start looking at things differently and how we can react to circumstances around us. I think a lot of people are discovering new things of how to do, how to do things and how to keep your business going and how to connect with your customers. And I think that's what we're trying to do, both with Salt Chamber, provide information and education. I think the Salt Therapy Association is doing it. I know you're doing it. I've never seen so many, videos and webcams and people's telling their stories, and you can get so consumed with it. But I think there's a way to start to differentiate ourselves, and I think there's a lot that all of the spa and wellness industries need to get together and really, look at how we are viewed and how we can protect our industry in these kinds of situations.
On that note, Leo, and thank you for the time today. I know how you're still busy, and I know how busy you are, but we're going to put your contact and the Salt Therapy Association contact on the last screen. So people reach out to Leo and his team. They are a wealth of knowledge. Join the Spa Therapy Association. And no, he doesn't pay me to say that, but I know what a great organization it is. Leo, bless you and your family.
Stay healthy and well.
Thank you.